Good morning. It is Tuesday, May 28th, 2024. I'm Thomas Caldwell of the Aurelian Column, and this is the special morning report. First, I'd like to thank everyone for their patience and understanding. It was a busier than usual 3-day weekend for me. I was out meeting with a couple of groups and several people individually concerning the upcoming elections, both here in Virginia and throughout the United States. We talked a lot about how to effect some change in this country. And much to my pleasant surprise, I found more reasons to be optimistic than pessimistic about how things are going and the potential for a positive outcome by the end of the year. I took a lot of notes. I'm still going through a lot of those notes. And you'll be hearing some interesting news as the summer progresses into the autumn and the election season. Now, that does fly in the face of what many people are saying and believing, but it is the impression I got from my interactions with others who are in the political planning and implementation business, along with some people running for office. So we'll see. Now, while out and about this past Memorial Day weekend, I paid a brief stop to the town of Front Royal, Virginia. Now, I'd been by and through there many times over the years, but seldom stopped for anything but gas and food and maybe some local shopping. But this time I had a few unscheduled hours to kill, and I did what I usually do at such times. I went out exploring. And I'm very glad I did. There are a few interesting places I recommend be checked out if anyone is passing through. It's just where 66, not too far from where 66 intersects with Interstate 81. And some of the places I recommend, which is just off the highway, is called the Apple House. Now, it's pretty well known in these parts. It's a combination restaurant and souvenir shop that's been around since the early 1960s, well known for its rather famous apple donuts and very good traditional Virginia food. They just redid the restaurant there. I hadn't been there in some time, and it looks pretty nice. Strongly recommended. Another place that deserves mention and a visit in Front Royal is a place for historical education called the Warren Rifles. It's a small Civil War museum run by the Daughters of the Confederacy, and I found it delightfully educational on the realities of that conflict as experienced by the local townsfolk who lived through it. And yes, there was a Battle of Front Royal, and you can learn all about it there. In fact, in Virginia, you throw a rock, you're probably going to land it on a Civil War battlefield in much of the northern part of the state. There are some fascinating exhibits there, but I'll leave that for you to discover for yourself. It is worth visiting. They also have a very nice book selection. So if you're interested in learning real history, untainted by the Marxist-style political correctness that has poisoned our world, please pay them a visit. Oh, and a special thanks to the curator, a very nice lady of that establishment, who gave me a brief VIP tour of the exhibits. That was a real treat and really appreciated. I want to thank you very much. Now, on to some of the news of the past week. One very telling and relieving development was the Iranian government coming out and admitting they see no evidence of foul play pertaining to the demise of their late president. With apologies to Sigmund Freud, sometimes a cigar is just a cigar, and sometimes a helicopter hitting a mountain in foggy and rainy weather is just that, a helicopter hitting a mountain in foggy and rainy weather. Rational minds apparently are prevailing for what passes as rational these days in that part of the world, but I suggest we take our blessings where we can find them. Meanwhile, Mr. Netanyahu in Israel is probably wondering if it is safe for him to travel to other nations, given the possible arrest warrants that may be issued by the International Criminal Court. Again, these have been requested by the ICC as of this morning. They haven't been issued, at least not yet. So it should be noted that the same sort of thing is also in the offing for the leaders of Hamas. They also have some arrest warrants that may be issued. You know them, that band of merry killers who share quite a bit of the blame for the circumstances so many of their fellow Palestinians find themselves in. Let's be honest, takes two sides over there, and that's what we're seeing. But it is a bit refreshing that it's now in vogue, or at least back in vogue, to treat people who start and propagate wars, to treat them for what they are, thugs worthy of criminal prosecution. Perhaps there's a little hope for our planet yet. And speaking of Israel, there's a video making its way around the internet purporting to be that of an Israeli soldier calling for the overthrow of the Netanyahu government. It's hard to tell if it's real, such is the way of the internet, but the Israeli government seems to be taking it seriously, so it probably is. There are still few reports, very little coverage in the Western media over the rather significant protests still being held in Israel against Netanyahu. I wonder why that is. Well, as they always say, stay tuned and follow things closely. Now, in economic news here in the United States, I've received reports from some of my sources about discount programs and preferential treatment that is being given to non-U.S. citizens when it comes to buying what we call big-ticket items, namely cars, home appliances, that sort of thing. In other words, people that have a green card and do not have a passport. Now, I've had only some verbal reports from some people who would know, but I'm waiting for more evidence and details before I report on anything. And when I do, you'll be the first to know. In the meantime, if anyone does hear of any such thing, if you could please contact me through the usual means, that will be greatly appreciated. Back to politics. The closing arguments in the Donald Trump trial will be conducted later this morning, U.S. Eastern Time in New York City. And after the prosecution and defense have their say and rest their cases, the jury will be given their instructions by the judge. And at some point afterward, it could be hours, it could be days, it could be weeks, we'll learn the fate of the 45th and potentially 47th President of the United States. And at that point, we'll be turning a corner of interesting, for sure. That's all for this morning. If you like what you hear, please like and subscribe. Pass this on to others. Please consider a paid subscription or a donation. It helps me keeping this little endeavor going. If you want to contact me, I can be reached at X, formerly known as Twitter. My handle there is MICCAMPEN. That's MICCAMPEN. You could also reach me at feedback@aureliancolumn.com. That's feedback@aureliancolumn.com. You can also reach me using direct messages here on Substack. That's it for today. Until next time, be good, be safe, be vigilant, and good day.